Hi everyone, my name is Zharkova. I am lead mobile developer in Usetech software company in Russia, and today I would like to present you my talk about AppClips and Widgets and how can we provide better user experience combining SwiftUI and UIKit, and why do we need to do that. I develop both native and cross-platform mobile software. Also, I'm a leader of mobile team, mentor, public speaker in several conferences. I write articles about mobile development, and I'm a woman techmaker ambassador. So this was a small introduction about me. And what we will discuss today, we will talk about AppClips and Widgets as iOS 14 new features. They are not supported on previous versions. We will also talk about user experience and limitations of AppClips, about SwiftUI and UIKit using in AppClips, what could be the better choice. And we will also talk about widgets and limitations and how can we embed whole UI view in widgets, though there is no official way to do that, and how can we set up it correctly without any illegal code. So, Apple presented both AppClips and Widgets on last WWDC 2020, and they were designed to promote your app and make better user experience. On the left screen you can see an example of widgets. It's a small static images that contain some text, some images, and on the right screen it is a put card example. With this card you can get access to small app with direct functionality for your specific task. So let's begin talk with AppClips. AppClips are lightweight mini apps. It is not whole your app, and they contain only some special functionality, direct functionality, just what should be at the moment and what should be for this task. For example, you have a task to create small mini app to order coffee or to rent a bike or to talk with support in specific chat, and there is no need to install it via App Store. So, and this combination of small app that helps you to solve some specific task at the moment is very good for small business. For example, you get in some coffee shop, scan some marker, you receive some more cards, and then with this card you open AppClip mini app and then order coffee. It's simple and cheap. So AppClips, so in this schema you can see how it works. We create several marker with associated URL. It could be a QR code, NPC, a special place on your map, and so on. So we create special experience associated with this marker, and then with the scanning of this special marker, user receive a special card from App Store, and it is a card for specific task. And with this card you can open specific app clips that will be loaded directly to your phone, and it is only a piece of code with for a specific task. For example, on this slide I show a specific card on way tracker app that helps people to open support chat and to write several messages to call center. This card looks really fancy, but there is no way to create custom card in app site. I think it's not really good. I would like to add some functionality here, and I think it could be really beautiful. So these cards could be created in App Store directly or as a local experience in your phone, and while created you should fill some templates, fields, titles, images, sections, and so on, and then they're combined and you receive this card while scanning specific code. So, and when you receive an app, it is not whole app, it is only as part of your app. This part of your app could support UIKit or SwiftUI, and also it supports its life cycle. For example, on this slide I show a specific scene delegate that's used for AppClips specially, and on this code we can notice that we provide some user activity. We get some user activity with those was our AppClip launched, and then with processing this activity we select what UIV controller should we show at moment. We can share pieces of code from our main app, or maybe create something our own. And of course, AppClips support Cocoapods embedded library. They doesn't support SPM, but support Cocoapods. So it looks really nice, but there are a lot of limitations. For example, one clip per one app. If you have a lot of experience, I mean a task, so you should include processing of all your tasks in one clip. And there is another problem. AppClips are limited in size to 10 megabytes. And there is no way to share backup data or to get access to personal data. And not all frameworks are available here, and also there is specific location mechanism. So AppClips doesn't support CallKit, Speech, CloudKit, and so on. So maybe we don't need to use Speech or CloudKit every time, but for example, Speech could be really useful when we need to make some specific app. But CallKit, well, it could be useful, but it is not included because of size limitations. And also AppClips doesn't support continuous location access. It provides its own mechanism. We receive from payload and should compare it with region. So while developing our AppClips, we need to put less code as possible. We should avoid tab bars and other navigation because it is a blank, it is a template for big application, but we should provide only direct functionality, minimal functionality for the specific task. We should use minimal assets because of size, and yes, it should be only needed functionality, it's not full app. Well, and how can we deal with that? We can use same pieces of code that we use from our main app, but add some special conditions. For example, we can process differently our controller if it is AppClip or it is not AppClip. Of course, for example, well, setup tab bar should be not in AppClip condition, but let's pretend that it is something that remove your tab bar from your UIV controller. Also, we can use same app from SwiftUI or app delegate scene delegate. We had an example how can we use scene delegate, and let's see how can we deal with conditions. For example, we have app struct, and here we put a condition in a moment where we decide what should we do with our content view and what should be our content view for iOS and for AppClip, and also the same logic for our scene delegate. So for example, we define our controller for our AppClip with the user activity, or maybe we can use our main tab bar for our iOS app. It is a normal solution. Or we can create specific code, specific files only with the information that we need, separately for AppClip and separately for iOS. So it could be really simple, but we can repeat a lot of code. It could be a lot of equal code, mostly equal code. So also we can create our clip for multiple tasks, for multiple experience. For example, I want to have possibility to connect with chat, or maybe to rent my bike. For example, I came to the specific station and there is a correct code in different bikes, and I can scan it and rent specific bike. Or maybe I would like to get information from about whole bikes of this station, or maybe I would like to get information about my ride history, or maybe our payment history, and so on. So I need multiple experiences. I need experience for every single task and put all these experiences in my clip. And also I need to think that if I want to put a lot of experiences, I still have limitations about 10 megabytes. So I need to put less resource per every case. So we understand that we can use SwiftUI and UIKit, but what is a better solution for our app clips? I think that we should begin from SwiftUI. So though it is not simple reason why it was presented in iOS 14, not earlier. So why should we use SwiftUI? So it's lightweight, there is no xips and storyboards. We can provide simple code for some simple screen, and it is really less in memory. So also it's really easy to share screens and adapt code, and it is one of main arguments why should we use SwiftUI while dealing with app clips. For example, we can put condition and use one abstract or view struct for specific cases in app clips and iOS application. And also there is a reason that structs more efficient than classes, and it's really good for memory performance. But when we could use UIKit, it is not worse, it's not worse than your SwiftUI, it's only your solution. Though SwiftUI is more efficient in memory and in sharing code, well, we want to use UIKit when we have already an app that uses UIKit, and we don't want to change it to SwiftUI. We don't like SwiftUI, or maybe we like SwiftUI, but we have not enough time, not enough money to make separated cases with SwiftUI functionality that duplicates our UIKit code. So we can use both to take better. Yes, we can use both approaches in one app. For example, when we can use UIKit with SwiftUI, while SwiftUI is so good for app clips. For example, we have complicated UI. It could be something with animation, but or maybe this could be not animation, but some specific third-party library class for our view, and we could provide some specific control with UI view representative and embed it in our SwiftUI app. So it is an example with map. Well, it is not really good example because there is already a specific control for map in SwiftUI, but let's pretend that there is other library, for example, not maybe map view from Apple, but some other map, though they are too heavy libraries. So let's pretend that we can do that. Another reason, we want to use SwiftUI, but we don't like its architectural approach and we would like to get MVC, for example. Why not? We can embed our SwiftUI view in UI view controller and provide connection between our UI hosting controller with our specific content and our content via delegate pattern. So it's really simple and effective. And of course, while we embed our SwiftUI in UI controller, we can solve problem with navigation. So, what is the summary? AppClips supports both UIKit and SwiftUI, and we can choose what we want. Yes, it's not some hard decision at the moment. But we should remove unsupported parts and libraries and keep about 10 megabytes. So maybe it is a reason why SwiftUI is more efficient for this feature. So now let's talk about widgets. AppClips was not really good example. How can we deal with UIKit and SwiftUI? Because mostly it is it duplicates. How can we deal with SwiftUI and UIKit in our classic iOS application? So now it will be something really hard code. So widgets are small parts of apps to show important data in home screen. Yes, they are only some static parts that show information. There are not many apps. There already were some kind of widgets in iOS previously, but it was an SVG providing app to take extensions, and now we should use widget framework. It's really different and not supports most of functionality. It could be really tricky to make the extensions with WidgetKit. So what are the specialities and limitations of widgets in iOS 14? Well, there is no support of widgets in previous versions of iOS, and widgets supports only SwiftUI code. So why it supports only SwiftUI? Because we use code only to create visual part of our widget that we present in our screen. There is no some embedded functionality in our widgets that need to put here some UIV controller. And also widgets static view only. They are stateless. No animations, no media, no direct controls are supported. Well, but SwiftUI has many controls that are not scrollable, not pushable, and we can create simply and beautiful widgets using fast. Why we need to use here UI view? So same reason, we have to complicate and fancy UI view, and it's hard to make the same with SwiftUI. It's also two reasons: hard to make same with SwiftUI and lack of time on resources. For example, we have some animated clock, and we don't need to create the same functionality with SwiftUI. We can create it with UI view and wouldn't know how to do this with SwiftUI, or maybe it could be really tricky. So also we could use some third-party libraries with functionality, for example Google Maps. For example, we have an application that provides information about rides in bike. We share bike, it's bike share application, and we make some widgets. Yes, it is not our production widgets, it's small example, because I could not provide you an example of real application because of NDA. So we should use, for example, Google Map to show position of our user at the moment, or maybe to show a track of our user. So how can we do that? Default approach, when we need to put some UI view in SwiftUI view, we should implement UI view representable. It's normal and it's classic. For some controls, there is already controls for SwiftUI, and maybe we can use them also. For example, if we don't need Google Map, we need to use some classic iOS map, we can use some specific map control. So we create our UI view representable, and here in this point we need to put our functionality in our widget. We create specific view And here we provide our visual part of our view, and then we create specific struct implements protocol widget, and here in body we put link, we put our view for our specific widget. So we have configured our widget. It seems to be normal, and what can go wrong in this point? Well, here is our expectation, what we need to get. And what we receive in reality. Okay, we haven't received our map. We haven't received our information about, right? It is broken, and our customer is disappointed, and of course developers and quality specialists also disappointed. So widgets doesn't support not only scrolling, video animations and UI view. It also doesn't support UI views presentable, and in such cases we receive such result of our work. So but if we look at some Apple widgets, they have some solutions. For example, it is a map widget. It shows my position at moment, but it is a map. Maybe it is a map, so I can use map directly because it's touchable and it's interactive. And there is some buttons. So it seems there is something default hidden solution. Let's find it. So let's look what widget supports by default. This supports text, stacks, grids, static shapes, static styles, and images. Static images. So if we cannot use specific controls, we can create fake view of these widgets with combination of default and supported controls. We will create imitation of what we need at the moment. For example, how can we solve with the map widget? We can take some map image, we can create fake buttons that are actual images, and put all these beautiful controls in one stack, for example. So what possible solutions at this moment? We can use full SwiftUI analysis also. But for example, if we have hard and too complicated view, for example, such beautiful calendar, it should take us too much time, and sometimes it is not enough to the part library because we cannot use UI view representable. So in this case we can also use snapshots and images at the moment. And let's use images and snapshots to get the result what we want. So we can do one thing. For example, we have UI view. It also already set up with some stuff, and we can create some extensions that will create some image for our view, and then we will put this image in our view for our widget. It's legally, and it's really a normal approach, I think. So, and in this moment we need we can get this and to put it to this. Yes, we will get the result what we want. And also there is specific built-in functionality in some third-party libraries to create images with all its content. For example, MK map in iOS maps has specific snapshot maker that will prevent us specific snapshot for map with whole markers, roads, and etc. And yes, we and this will turn to this normal. So, and also we can get some specific API for some libraries to generate images. For example, Google Maps. We have some information about our track, and we need to show it in map. Google Map static has specific API that will provide us specific URL, and we can turn it to our view. So let's do that. So let's summarize at this moment what we need to do. So we set up our view with all business logic and all stuff, then we turn it into our image and use it in widget view. And then we need to set up our widget correctly. So how we should deal with it? So it is a small schema of our widget. Widget use some content, some snapshots, and operates with the timeline provider that uses some snapshots and timeline entries. So we need to put our logic in timeline provider. For example, in this code I receive from our specific service for loading information about rides, I receive information about my current ride. Well, it's not whole code, there are looks, there are blanks, but let's pretend that it's okay, it's whole code, it's just a simple pseudocode. So we receive our current ride, and at the moment when we get our ride, we create our entry with the current date and put our current ride, and then we also put a policy to refresh. For example, I would like to refresh it maybe 15 minutes later. And also in case of failure we need to put empty ride. It could be some step, and also put a policy because I would like to try next 15 minutes to get correct information about my current ride, for example. But there is not something wrong because widgets are synchronous, and we need to set up completion with both initial state and changes, but we have only one completion block. So what should we do? For example, it's just a placeholder, and sometimes without some initial state we can wait really for long while we get some content, and sometimes it is not really good for user experience. So at this moment we should change something. We should keep our current data in our specific service and use it as a default case. So we will put our saved ride, then we will call methods to get information about current ride synchronously, and also we will put our saved ride in completion handler in timeline entry with a specific policy. So and in our service we will ask fetching our ride, and at the moment when we receive our current ride we need to call reload of our current widget. And we should reload not all widgets. We can reload all widgets, but we will reload a specific kind of our widgets. And yes, and also we will save received value to our service, and we will use this kept state as priority. So now we have all business logic. We receive, but we need also set up images. For example, we have a specific URL. We generate this URL with information about our ride. And how can we load it and set up to our widget? Simply approach. Let's use SwiftUI asynchronous widget control KF image from Kingfisher. What can go wrong? But it's asynchronous, widget is synchronous, and we have no callback. At the moment we have information about our ride, but no image for our widget. So Let's think that the simplest solution without any third-party libraries is more efficient. So let's create a loading function with URL session, and on completion block we also will call to reload our widget and use it correctly. So, and this works. We reload our widget several times at moment when we get our information, moment when we get our image, or maybe when if you hold your image and it will not change, you can use cache image value and reload when you get information about your write. So it works, and we get widget with image, and we get image with some third-party library, and we put UI view in our widget. It works, yay! So here is a sample of our widget, and we can update them in what policy that we needed for needs of our app, and also we can create other moments. Oh, here's another moment. I use a location updater embedded in my logic, and also there is some synchronous callbacks while I receive information about my location, and it's different from previous point. So what can we tell about in summary? AppClips and widgets may be tricky tools to make your app more interesting and attractive for user. Well, it could be really simple, but it could be really tricky. AppClips support both SwiftUI and UIKit, but SwiftUI helps solve AppClips easy, and both AppClips and widgets should be made as simple as it possible. And we can implement complicated UI in widget, but it could be really tricky, and sometimes it's not so easy to understand how we should do that, how should we provide correct state saving in widgets, and not to do memory leaks in, or maybe some unwanted logic in our work. So, and yes, we have received problem with widgets, but I want next WWDC to bring us solutions to make widgets with more options, maybe to make them similar to Android, and to make AppClips with custom UI cards. I think that it should be more beautiful and efficient when we put some information, or maybe we can provide some specific type of card to use it in some other applications, to maybe to embed our AppClips maybe in maps or other built-in software in iOS. So, some Thursdays. Thank you for listening, and I'm waiting for your questions. Thanks for everyone.